Hey guys, what is going on? And welcome back to the Fortem Training Podcast, episode number 4 with me, head coach and owner Kieran Douglas Jones. This episode's a little bit of a different one. Probably just going to talk through a couple of things on the weekend. The weekend just gone. At time of recording, it is now the 15th of May. Weekend just gone. I did a Tough Mudder. For those of you that have done it, you'll know what it is all about. But for those of you that haven't heard of it, Tough Mudder is a 10 miles or somewhere around that distance, 10-mile obstacle course that takes place across fields where you do many obstacles over the 10 miles. I did it with a bunch of friends. It was a social it was a social thing. A couple of friends stayed. I have a friend who is in university in Nottingham, so we made it a whole weekend. 3 of us headed up to stay with him for the weekend and did the Tough Mudder Midlands on Saturday morning. Started at 8:30. We finished at 1:30. We did walk around a lot of it. It was more about just a social thing rather than actually going and trying to be very quick around the course. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that, which will lead on to which actually sort of the purpose of this episode is talking a little bit about using your functional fitness and getting out of the gym. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience and then about sort of getting out of the gym and making the most of your functional fitness. I'll have a little break, then I'll come back and we've got the resources of the week, what I've been listening to. I think I've already got what I've been listening to for this week because I am still reading. Those of you that listened to the last episode, I am still reading slash listening because I'm on the audiobook, The Chimp Paradox. So I'm still going through that. I'll cover more on that when I finish it. But yeah, so I got a listening resource, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about Indian clubs because I've got myself an Indian club and I will be using it fairly frequently over the coming weeks and sort of getting used to it. Something new, something I really want to try, and something that I'm sort of dabbling with at the moment. So yeah, we did a Tough Mudder. It was really great fun. Do go and check them out on Instagram to get a little bit more of a feel of what it is and sort of what it's about. Oh, excuse me. It is an obstacle course. It is a very long obstacle course, 10 miles for us. We walked a lot of it, so it did take us a lot longer than it would have done. Oh, excuse me. Apologies for that. So it would take us a lot longer than it would have done had we run. But yeah, we just spent a lot of time. It was a social thing, good fun, nice to get out and spend some time with friends and have a little bit of time off over the weekend. Yeah, it was a really good experience. It was enjoyable. There was a lot of water. For those of you that have done one, you'll know, there was a lot of water, a lot of very cold water to wade through and try and work your way through. Working as a team, really good fun to get over some of those big obstacles and trying to throw each other up and over. And yeah, just overall, you're all in the same boat. Everyone doing it is all in the same boat, and it is just superb fun. And I highly recommend, if you have never done a Tough Mudder, to get a couple of friends and go and do one whenever you can. Because I definitely think at the time, when going through the cold water, I thought, what the hell am I doing? This isn't quite as fun as I thought. But now that we finished it, I definitely think that I will try and go and do another one over the summer, because in the UK the weather is a little bit better in the summer. It's not always that great. It's nice today. We're outside. For the benefit of those of you that are listening, we're outside Fortem HQ again today, as we were for the first part of episode 3. Then it started getting a bit cold, so we went inside. But yeah, we are outside today and hopefully will be for the duration of this episode. It is lovely, soaking up all the vitamin D from the sun. Yeah, it was really good fun. I definitely think we'll try and do one again for the social aspect of just going around and having fun, getting out of the gym, using your functional fitness to just... It's a really good test. If those of you that haven't done it, it is a really good test of your functional fitness, and I think you would be very hard pushed to go around the whole course without having help from others, because it's just the way the obstacles are set up and the way it all runs. But going around in a team, gives you a really good test of all of your sort of your ability to be functional and your ability to get over the obstacles. There was, I think that there was a couple of really high walls, so you had to sort of leg each other up, shove each other up, grip on, and then pull each other up over it. There was a lot of stuff wading through water, which didn't necessarily need help with, but like just going through it in a team makes it much more bearable than having to trudge through some really freezing cold water on your own. There were many obstacles within the water. There was, for those of you who've done it, if this obstacle is on the other ones, because I'm not quite sure how it works in terms of the same obstacles being on each event, because there are a number of events around the UK. So there was one obstacle that was in some water that was probably for up to about chest height. Those of you on the video on YouTube, you can see I'm just got my hand across here, about chest height, and there were some very large spinning cubes, and the idea was that as the cube spins, you grab on to the corner, and then everyone else around sort of continues to spin the cube, and then that drags you up and over, and so you get the momentum in the cube, and just people keep grabbing on and taking you over and taking you over and taking you over to get over. So like I say, it probably would be very difficult to get around without help, but yeah, the purpose of it, go around, have really good fun. Very, very good social game. You're all in the same boat. There are a lot of people going around in teams, and yeah, it was, now looking back at it, props at the time, it was a little bit cold after coming out some of the water, but yeah, now looking back at it, it was super, super fun, and I will endeavour to definitely try and do one again. Definitely try and do one again at some point. Maybe, I'm not sure, likely to be in the next couple of months, but maybe sometime next year I'll try and get around to doing another one. So yeah, like that sort of leads us on into using your functional fitness and getting out of the gym and making the most of it and doing things like that. I think we all train. We all train. We all do CrossFit. We all do functional fitness. Whatever it is you do, for the most part, for those of us that aren't training to be competitive CrossFit athletes, what you are training to be, or what you should be training to be, is sort of be more functional so that you can live a better life, live a stronger, fitter, healthier, just live and have a better lifestyle overall, be healthier, look better. And I think that all encompasses sort of taking yourself outside of the gym. We spend so much time inside of the gym that it is hugely important to remember to sort of take yourself out of the gym and go and test yourself, doing something like a Tough Mudder or doing something like a Spartan race, doing things like that, because it is really fun and it is really enjoyable, and it's not only to test your functional fitness and whatever, and doing it in that sense, but also the social aspect of it, and something that can work really well for those of you that have got a good community in your gyms is gathering a group from the gym and then taking it outside of the gym, taking the community outside of the gym to go and do that sort of event and go and do that sort of challenge or whatever it is. Just getting out of the gym and using your functional fitness is just something that I think we should all do probably more often, whether it is going to do something like a Tough Mudder, a Spartan race, or going for a hike, whether it is climbing a mountain, whatever it is, bouldering, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's just getting outside and using your functional fitness and making use of all that time that you spend in the gym is something that I think is very, very important, something that I'm trying to do a lot more of, and trying to make my training, not only my training more varied as well, but also getting outside and trying to do more of that kind of thing, and as well as sort of taking the training to the track, whether it is carrying farmers handles, running, whether just making things as varied as possible, as fresh as possible, just to cover all bases, keep it fresh, keep it enjoyable, keep it interesting, and sort of just to enjoy things. I think that's a huge, huge part of training, is mixing it up and making sure that you know, if you like spending time outside of the gym, great, do it more often. Go and do Tough Mudders, go and do Spartan races, go and hike, go walk the dog, whatever it is. I think we, particularly coming into the summer now with in the UK, making the most of the sunny days that we do have, like we have here today, outside, soaking it all up, and just getting outside and really making the most of the sun, and just getting out there and spending some time outside of the gym, because I think we can spend so much time, those of us that are training frequently, we train a number of times a week, you can get caught up in spending too much time within the gym. I think it's sometimes very easy to sort of forget and lose sight of why we're training, and sort of why we're training to be functional. And when you do sort of spend so much time in the gym, you sort of perhaps lose sight of all your training and what it's going towards. But then when you get out and you do something like a Tough Mudder, you go for a hike, you go Spartan race, those are the examples, keep coming back. But yeah, when you go out and do something like that, you sort of then regain the sort of sight of why you're training, and sort of why we train like we do, why we do what we do, not only to look good, not only to sort of be healthier, stronger, fitter, but allow us at any point to go out and use our functional fitness to go and accomplish something, or to go and beat a challenge, go and enjoy our lifestyle, go out and enjoy the sun, get outside, do something fun, do something challenging, and really, really make the most of it. So yeah, I'm going to take a quick break there, little bit of a shorter part one today, but when we come back after the break, got a resource, which the resource isn't necessarily in the context of health and fitness. It's not necessarily to do with health and fitness, a little bit of entertainment, but yeah, it's still really good fun. Then we'll talk a little bit about Indian clubs and why they're going to be in my training, why I'm testing them out.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really do appreciate your time. So as a thank you for tuning in, we're offering you 1 month of fully individualized custom programming with full access to myself as your head coach, along with access to a Fitbot account and full nutrition guidance as each of our individual clients gets. So to get involved, fire us an email at info@fortemtraining.com, include your name and what episode you saw this advert on, and I'll get right back at you to get you set up with your Fitbot account and to get you going on your first month of free programming.
Hey guys, what is going on, and welcome back to part 2 of episode 4 of the Fortem Trader podcast. So in this part we're going to get into this week's listening resource there, which will actually lead me on to talking a little bit about switching off and taking time away from what you're doing, and just taking time to switch off from your work. Then get into a little bit about Indian clubs and what is going on in terms of my experience and what I will be experiencing, or hope to experience, with those over the next couple of weeks. So this week's listen resource is actually a bit of an older one. It's an older one, and it is not anything to do with health and fitness. It's not anything to do with training, and it is actually James Acasters Classic Scrapes on XFM radio with Josh Widdicombe. For those of you that do know your comedians, you'll know both of those very, very well. It is an old one because the actual content is from, like, I think it's from a couple of years ago, maybe even a couple of years ago now. But it is what it is Josh Widdicombe has a radio show, and there is a segment on there called James Acasters Classic Scrapes, where he tells a story or an anecdote from his past, or something that he experienced very recently. So yeah, it is really, really funny. For those of you that do enjoy comedians, I highly suggest type that in on YouTube. Just type in, head on to YouTube, James Acasters Classic Scrapes. He does actually have a book, and it is available on Audible as well, called James Acasters Classic Scrapes. So please do go and check that out. It is super, super funny. There are, on YouTube, I think there's about 60 videos, and they're between sort of 3 and 12-ish minutes long. They are very, very funny, very good for helping you switch off and just relax and switch off from everything else. So yeah, saying that, something that I have been doing much more recently is sort of taking time away time away from working on programming, working on the podcast, working on whether it's editing videos, whatever it is, any sort of work stuff, just taking complete time away to switch off and to relax and to do other things, whether it is like listening to something like that, or watching something on Netflix, whatever it is. just taking time away from doing any sort of work to sort of relax and to sort of reset. Because I think it's very easy. It's very easy for you to get burnt out very, very quickly when everything is 100% on your efforts, your work efforts, on sort of whether it is biz dev, business development, trying to build a business, trying to build a brand, whether build a program in, get new clients, whatever it is. I think it's very easy to get caught up in all that stuff and end up sort of burning yourself out very, very quickly. So something that I have realized recently is there is huge, huge, huge importance on taking time away from doing that stuff, and whether it is taking half a day. Yesterday afternoon, I went and played 9 rounds of golf. I know I did take the weekend as well, but I got back in on Monday, and I took the afternoon. It was a nice day. Made the most of it. Went out and had nine holes of golf. So doing things like that and taking time out of the office to completely switch off from everything, and then you come back in with the drive and the motivation and the fire to sort of really hit things hard is something that I have implemented and something I've been using very, very heavily more recently in my work efforts. So I take mostly on Sundays, I think, is usually my day where, particularly now where Saturdays are not filled up with rugby, Sundays, half days for me. Usually I only spend a couple of hours going through the programming for the week ahead and getting all that stuff done, but that is literally all I will do on Sundays. I'll take the rest of the day completely off and try and switch off, try and listen to sink in some entertainment stuff, like any podcasts or entertainment podcasts, rather than any sort of fitness and health and fitness or training related ones. Whether it's watch TV, whether it's watch YouTube videos, whatever it is, try and step away from all the training, from all the coaching, the programming, from all the business stuff, and take that time away to do whatever it is, whether it is go out with family, go out with friends, go and enjoy yourself and switch off. Because when I found that when you come back then on the Monday morning, you really do have that fire, the drive, and that motivation to really hit the week hard and start things off in the right direction. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy what I do. I love what I do. I love this. I love doing the podcast. I love programming. I love working with clients. I love running the business. I love doing absolutely everything that we do. But I think it's very easy, and have found it very easy, to get burnt out when you start working 7 days a week. And sort of your productivity for me, my productivity tends to sort of take a dive the longer I go without taking a day off or half a day off to just switch off and relax and to reset and sort of have that clear picture of when I come back the next day, this is what I've got to do, smash it out and getting it done. So yeah, I think taking that time away, and this sort of moves on from having the weekend away where we did the Tough Mudder, completely switched off. It was completely social. We weren't going to sort of go for a good time. It was just to go and enjoy, have some time away, do something fun, all that good stuff. And I think it's hugely, hugely important, and it has been for me more recently, is taking that time away to really enjoy and then reset and come back with the drive, with the fire to sort of really push forward with what you're doing. And for me, it makes me much more productive. I think, like I said, the longer I go without taking time away or day off or whatever it is, the productivity levels tend to drop, and then I take that day off, come back the next day, and productivity is sort of right up there, back to where it should be, where it needs to be. Not to say that I don't enjoy what I do or I find it like a job, but because it's not. For me, it's really not. I really do enjoy this. I love the programming, love working with clients, love doing all that stuff. But taking that time off, coming back the next day and really hitting things hard with that fire and that motivation and the drive to really do things and get things done, I think is a very good thing for me in taking that time off, if it gives me that drive to then be more productive and get more things done in a shorter space of time. So yeah, that's sort of like this week's listen sort of leads on into sort of enjoying, and that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been listening to in my sort of time off, listening to some classic scrapes. They are very, very funny, so do go check them out if you do get a chance. So the last thing in this episode Indian clubs. I have an Indian club. It is not here. It's in the garage gym. I have an Indian club that I am going to be testing out and taking for a spin, seeing what I can do. The reason is I seen a couple of people using them on Instagram more recently, the Indian clubs and the steel maces. I've seen them used a lot more recently on Instagram with a couple of different people. The names escape me at the moment. But yeah, so I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try, see what happens. I think the draw with it for me is sort of getting outside of the straight up and down, side to side planes that we usually find ourselves in terms of CrossFit. Because if you think of everything that we do, whether it is lunges, squats, rowing, anything overhead, if it's overhead lunges, if it's snatches, if it's dumbbell snatches, everything is either up and down, forward and back, left and right. It's all very sort of what's the right word? Just straight up and down, straight side to side. Nothing is. I've been trying to do it a lot more, but nothing is really that offset, and nothing is really sort of like 3 kilos here, 5 kilos there, 10 kilos down there, sort of thing. If that makes any sense, everything seems to be, for the most part, straight up and down. So I think the Indian clubs and having that offset weight and the way they're used is in more of sort of a flow kind of way. Those of you that might have seen a couple of months ago, I started implementing the 5-minute flow in the morning, similar to that sort of thing, but obviously using the Indian club to move around a little bit more, swinging it around. I haven't used it much as yet, so still really getting to grips with it, so I will cover sort of what I'm doing with them and how I'm using them a lot more in depth in a future episode. But sort of where I am going with it is an endeavour to be more functional. I think that's the crux of it, is to just keep things and to keep training fresh, to keep things interesting, fun, enjoyable. I think the Indian club is going to be a really nice way. I will be getting a steel mace as well at some point. That's something that I do also want to get. I haven't got one as yet. But yeah, taking things outside of that straight up and down, the straight side to side, forwards and back, trying to get outside of that and use something that is a little bit more offset, use something that incorporates a little bit more of a flow to it and takes you into positions that you wouldn't usually get in with regular programming and with what is usually done in CrossFit. So yeah, that's the purpose of the Indian clubs, and you will see a whole lot. To see a whole lot more of that, there will be some stuff hopefully coming on the podcast, like I said, in a future episode where I'll explain a lot more in depth on the Indian clubs or the steel maces, whatever it is. I will cover a lot more in depth on those. But if you do want to see them in action, head over to Instagram at Kieran Douglas Jones. I also may well put some stuff over on the at Fortem.training page as well, because we are still building out the new sort of content that will be coming on there as well. So, excuse me. So please do go and check that out. Follow both of those. Also turn on post notifications so that you see when things are posted, so you don't miss out. But yeah, that is it for episode 4. A little bit of a shorter one today, a little bit of a shorter one in 2 parts, but hopefully still some real good value in there for you. Get out of the gym. I think that's the takeaway. The real takeaway from this is get out of the gym, spend some more time outside, spend some more time soaking up the sun, doing some obstacle courses, doing whatever it is, take the dog for a walk, go hiking, whatever it is. Get outside of the gym, use your functional fitness a lot more, soak up the sun, enjoy the social aspect, take some more time off. That is the take home for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you do get this far, thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. Those of you listening on wherever the podcast is going out, because I'm still as yet unsure, because at the time of this recording, none of the podcasts have gone live. So wherever you are watching this or listening to this, sorry, thank you for listening. If you are watching over on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully the video stuff will get a little bit more interesting over the coming episodes when we get guests involved and those sorts of things, so it'll be sort of more than just me right here. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Please do go and check out www.fortemtraining.com for our remote coaching program or for our Live Strong program, and check out these services or the programming options, that we do have available. Those in the local area, you will know if you are, because you will likely know where we are based. The sun is out here in West Wales today. If you are local and you are looking for one-on-one coaching sessions, then there is also a page on there for you to check out, so please do take a look. If you do have any questions or anything that you would want covered in the podcast, please do send through your questions to @fortem.training or @Kieran Douglas Jones. Send them to myself over on Instagram, or send them through to info@fortemtraining.com. Send an email. Just throw in the subject line podcast questions, whatever it is. Throw your questions in there and we will get them answered right here on the podcast for you to listen to, and hopefully help out some of the others that may have a question, may be asking the same question at the same time. That is it for episode 4. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on YouTube, and you will hear me again on episode 5. Thanks for listening.